it was really the early, I think it was the 1990s. And I do remember that time period because I entered the workforce in 1994. And so I remember that was the PC boom, right? That's where everybody was like, oh, we're going to have a PC, not only at work, but then also at home. Oh, and we're discovering email. And I still remember the days when someone would say, I have an email to write, right? Where they were going to spend the whole day writing the email because we counterparts in Japan. Whereas now, I mean, hello, right? There's obviously we work at a different accelerated rate. So imagine, okay, this is what I find fascinating. Okay, and then in the middle of that was in the mid 90s was when you start seeing, when you start seeing, the World Wide Web and started just, when you had basically the .com boom, right? And then bust in the year 2000. So really, during that time period, you were 100% a pioneer. You literally just said, look, I'm going to follow the direction that this is taking me. And I think, and it's fascinating because for anyone who, for example, at the moment is thinking about artificial intelligence or, thinking of mixed reality, not just
the seeds.
It's important to be able to say, listen, I see where I'm going and I'm going to go with it anyway, even if it's a niche, even if it's, high risk, which at the time would have been very high.
Oh my God. Everybody said to me, you're going to be a what? A life coach? What's a coach? People would say, what sports team are you going to coach? I'd be like, no, I'm going to coach you, a human. I'll never forget a moment. One time I met my very closest friend's fiance for the first time. Yeah. And he was like, we had a stand-up fight in the bar. He was like, who do you think you are to do this thing? It's not even a thing. What are you doing? And I had so many people telling me, you can't do this thing. And that same guy, 15 years later, came to me as a coaching client and actually became a coach.
That's amazing. Okay, so firstly, there's a couple of things there. Number one, I commend him on his recognition that, hey, I was wrong, help me. And then I want to do what you're doing, right? And then that's one. And then secondly is also that I can only imagine the Australians who have a tendency, who are very good natured, as we know, but also have a tendency to be a little bit snarky sometimes when something's like, completely unheard of, or you're trying to be a pioneer, like, who do you think you are? That does not surprise me. So you just actually bucked against that and said, no, I'm going to follow my path. So, okay, so carry on and tell us more.
Well, why I did is because I deeply, deeply felt inside of myself that I knew I needed to do this thing. I just strongly, strongly knew inside of myself that it was my thing to do. And so then I was very fortunate. Within 6 months, I had built a full coaching practice and had a waiting list. And so I've maintained a waiting list of 3 months to a year or longer ever since then. And then I went on to write several books in the field. So I developed coaching psychology.
And I just want to go back to just something that you said. You wrote several books. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, and then you said I think you opened up another part of the business. Sorry, I just don't want to miss that because that's actually, I mean, hey, writing a book is really hard. Okay. And so to say like, oh, I wrote a few books, I'm published. Okay. So, and you've maintained a waiting list between 3 months to a year. Tell me, how did you expand your business? Did you just say? Because you froze it a little bit.
So I set up a second company I co-developed a company called the MetaCoach Training System, which is an international coach training methodology. And I traveled for many years simultaneously as running my business in Australia to actually train coaches around the world to be an executive coach, a life coach, and to be a business coach. So that was simultaneously as running my first business, which is called Equilibrio. Equilibrio, as you know, in Spanish and Italian means balance. And so it was all about helping people to be able to have a more fulfilling life and to be able to, most importantly, live their life's purpose. I have a very strong conviction from all of the clients that I've worked with is that when you tune into your uniqueness and you be true to who you really are and you take the courageous steps to live that life, you're vibrant, you're happy, you're fulfilled, people want to be around you. And I think that's probably the core reason why my business flourished is because I was doing my thing.
Okay, you were doing your thing while helping other people find how to do their thing, right?
Yeah.
I think, I think it's worth mentioning at this point that you worked with our CEO, Embed's CEO, Renee Welsh, and also Embed's CTO, Andy Welsh. And it's fascinating that you described it about helping people kind of find their purpose and their uniqueness, and tapping into that, and doing the professions and following their passions, because both of them are entrepreneurs. I call them the serial entrepreneurs, right? Because they've started several startup companies successfully. And yes, I think that anybody who meets them or crosses paths with them or at all will tell you that they have a certain vibrancy to them, right? Their personal and professional velocity is very magnetic. And it's the reason why I joined Embed, as mentioned at the beginning of this, is I met Renee and I had a conversation with her, and I thought, hey, I want to go play in her sandbox. She's so cool and so smart. And she was just the energy that she had around the business. And while it is a very tough time, that hasn't diminished, because she's able to tap into these strengths that she has to find a way forward and lead us through that. So sensational. Please carry on.
So that's what actually emerged for me, is I started to attract a lot of people like Andy and Renee, people who were very successful in their businesses or at various different stages on that business journey. And it made me decide that I wanted to dedicate my niche of where I worked to be with what I call our creative artists. So actors, writers, producers, inventors, and entrepreneurs. And so I then ended up still having my business with a team of coaches working, doing executive and corporate coaching and so on. But I dedicated myself to this group of what I call creative artists. So I've had the honor and the privilege of coaching some of the world's most successful producers, writers, songwriters, all sorts of people, and founders and entrepreneurs. And so I was noticing that I was coaching people who were, you know, being able to sell their business, which is the ultimate goal for an entrepreneur, is to have an exit and to sell their business. And I was working with people who were selling their businesses for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, 300, 400, multi-billion-dollar exits.
Yes.
And then I was working with others who were struggling to raise capital, struggling to get through those stages. And I noticed a whole lot of emergent data emerging. And I decided that I wanted to quantify that. So I set out to do a world first research project. So I found a university in the UK.
Yes.
And I, through someone from the Sydney University, created a team, and we did a research project, which was incredible, studying the attitudes and the motivations of some of the world's most successful founders and those who failed. And so that's what led me finally to the final stages of where I am now, to move into a whole new career path for me to be a tech founder.
Wow. Okay.
So I've commercialized my research into a technology platform, which is called Fingerprint for Success, which is ultimately an artificial intelligent coaching platform. So my massive mission in the world has always been is to empower every single individual to have access to be all that they could possibly be. Yes. And so by creating artificial intelligent coaching makes it possible for everybody to now have access to coaching.
That's amazing. Wow. Okay. All right. So this is where you're at now. Yes. Amazing. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Tell me just so that we can all get it under, like, just so we can calibrate perception from start to finish. How many years is that in terms of a life?
23 years worth of life.
Amazing. 23 years. That's amazing. Wow. Okay. And just even achieving that in 23 years is amazing.